Hello, everyone. It's your girl, Gabrielle. Welcome to, let me just check my banner. Yes, welcome to a brand new episode of Hot Topics. If you are new to the show, let me tell you what this is all about. So, this is a show where we like to have that real talk about real things. We like to focus on topics in our purview. So we like to focus on things in education, entrepreneurship, empowerment. We've done episodes on homeschooling, disabilities, what else? Resiliency, what else? Immigration, right? So we've done a lot of different episodes on various topics, but the whole point of this show is to explore things from an educational point of view because that's what we're all about. We're all about education. And today is no different. I am looking forward to this episode. And I know they say I say that in every episode, but I am particularly looking forward to this episode because we are going to focus on entrepreneurship yet again. So, we are actually bringing back a topic. So, we have a repeat topic today. I love it when we have repeat topics. Our guest is brand new to the hot seat, but we are bringing back a topic. So, that topic that we are bringing back is, what am I doing wrong as an entrepreneur? Right? So, all those who have small businesses, you have your own companies, right? It's hard out here. It's hard out here in these streets. So we definitely want to give you tips about how to strengthen your business skills, your business savvy. So that's what we're all about, as this show is on part of A Step Ahead Tutoring Services, which is my own company. So this is my own baby here. So I definitely need to be taking notes for this episode. But yes, what am I doing wrong as an entrepreneur? So we are bringing back that topic. This is part 4, and I have a guest with me. He is new to the hot seat, so let's see how he takes it. His name is Austin Kerr, and let me tell you, he is the founder of his own company called Human Management, a software built to help make HR and work easier. Boom. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and bring him to the stage. Hi,
Hello,
Austin.
how you guys doing?
Hey.
Very happy to be here.
Awesome. Thank you for coming on the show and sitting in the hot seat. So, what are we doing wrong as entrepreneurs? That's what you're going to talk about. You're going to talk about what things that we're doing wrong with HR and how we can navigate that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I guess just kind of jumping in there, the first thing that people do wrong as entrepreneurs um, is that they don't have enough attention on the people, right? So, a lot of people, most entrepreneurs, when they start a business for, I wouldn't say everyone, but a good amount of entrepreneurs start the business for self-driven reasons, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. You know, you're an employee and you feel like you're not getting the opportunities or the pay that you should. You feel like you have the skill set to build a company, and so you build a company because you want the product of building a company, right? And so there'll be those people, they go and they start having a business, and if they're good at it, then they're going to start getting really busy, and then they're going to need help in order to keep up with demand. If they're good with sales and they get past that first hurdle, they're going to tackle hiring people. And so the problem is, a lot of people, and I've been guilty of this myself a few times, is a lot of people will hire staff thinking that the staff is a means to an end. They'll go, okay, well, I'm getting these extra clients, I need to deliver to them, so let me just bring someone on to do that. Or I'm too busy dealing with my clients, I'm going to bring someone on to make those sales. And the purpose is to just make those sales. And what they haven't realized yet is that they've actually taken on the challenge of building a community, on making good on someone's life. Someone's giving you a third of their life now, and you're supposed to give them not just a paycheck, but also give them purpose and drive and make them feel like they're doing something that matters. And so when we kind of continue to operate in that selfish way, even once we've gone past just being working by yourself, then you start to mess up and you start to feel it because your employees will start to complain about not having perks or not having pay or things being confusing. And you'll kind of go, well, I'm paying them. So, and I hired them and they signed up for it. So, and you start to feel defensive instead of realizing that you just haven't started playing that game yet. And so it's really, really important that if you're going to work with employees, that you play the game of working with employees. You build a company, a place where people are going to be happy to work for and work at, and they can contribute and be a part of that community. So that's what I would say is like the biggest thing that people do wrong as entrepreneurs.
All right. So what we do wrong is, I think it sounds like what you focus on is more about growth control. I don't know if that's a good frame for it. So
Maybe.
It's like, so you're starting a business and you're doing pretty well, right? And there's how do you manage demand, right? So you're doing so well that now you want to take on more clients and now you want to take on more business. And the problem, it's like growth is it's like, what is it called? It's like a gift and a curse in a way.
Exactly.
Is that, oh yeah, you want to grow, you want to expand, you take on more clients, but then the reality hits like, whoa, in order for me to take on more clients, I need to manage that demand, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you're saying taking on extra employees is not always the answer?
No, I'm not saying it's not the answer. What I'm saying is, well, okay, one, it's not the answer for everyone, because if
Yeah.
your purpose was just to have, an easier life or whatever, just more income, then sometimes staying a solopreneur is a good idea, because then you can kind of just focus on the things that you like, right? Because once you hire employees, you're now playing a different game. Now you're building a company. And so I recommend building a company to a lot of people. I think it's great. It's very rewarding, it's very fulfilling. But once you start building a company, you have to accept that you're actually building a company. An employee isn't a means to an end. They're not a means to growth. They are a part of what you're now building. You're just like you're building your client base or your income or the stature. You're also building a company, and that means employees and having good training, having clear-cut instructions, making sure that it's a place that that values them. One thing that I've seen a lot of people do is they'll be an employee and they'll want to go and become an entrepreneur. And then once they kind of start making that transition to a business owner from an entrepreneur, they'll forget about every reason why they hated their job. Or worse, they'll go, oh, well, of course the employees are going to have to deal with that. That's what I had to deal with when I was an employee. And that's silly, right? Because if you didn't like it, then why should you create that environment for someone else? So a lot of business owners, even ones who have 20, 30, 50, 100 employees, still haven't really thought about the fact that they're creating the opportunities for others, and that's a fun and enjoyable game. But they have to play that game. Now that is the game that they're playing. No matter what industry you're in, you're going to be building opportunities for others, and so you have to kind of just there's not any one specific way to do it, but you have to think about it. Go, oh, this is what I'm doing now. Good. Let me play that game. Let me make decisions that are towards that goal.
Right. So it's sort of like what you see is what you think you see isn't always exactly what you see. So that's interesting that you brought up with employees that want to become entrepreneurs. So it's sort of the same with like contractors that work for other companies that say, you know what, I'm going to build my own company, right? And they pretty much do the same thing and not knowing whoa, what okay, now what do I do when I have when all these clients want to work with me now and I'm only the one person and it's not exactly what I thought it would be.
Yeah. I mean, I think that it's really interesting when you go the jump from employee to entrepreneur to business owner, because you kind of get this idea that because you're good at something, because let's say you're a great at building roofs, and so you go, great, I'm going to go and build roofs, and I'm going to do that as my own thing, right? And if you do that just yourself and you're just building roofs by yourself, then sure, that's fine. That's the same thing basically. except for now you're obviously taking on, as we all know, as entrepreneurs, you take on extra burdens of marketing and accounting and all these sorts of tasks. And so then when you make that next transition, having a business that does people's roofs is an entirely different job than being someone who builds roofs. Like your tasks, your day-to-day actions are going to be entirely different. And, it's the same reason why the CEO of, I think that the guy who's the CEO of Disney used to be the CEO of I don't know, like a pharmaceutical company or something. And like Disney acquired it, and then he became the CEO of that. And people can make those kind of jumps from like entirely different industries because running a business is basically the same. Whether it's a roofing company or it's a investment company or it's a tutoring company, your job, if you're actually running a staff, is the same. And so, you have to kind of jump into that role and then just learn how to play that actual game, because that's the game you're playing. So, sometimes often I see companies who expand to 15 employees, let's say, and then once they expand to 15 employees, they get stuck. They bring on more staff and they start losing staff, they start losing business, and it's a very frustrating experience because you want to keep playing the game at bigger and bigger levels. But when you have 15 people and you are doing most of the sales and they're doing some other stuff, you try to expand, the burden of being a manager ends up taking up your time. And that's a good thing. You just have to learn what you're going to spend your time on, and it shifts and it changes. And that's how you then continue to grow.
Right. It's sort of like what I did. So like I was a tutor, I think for like 15 years. I worked for a couple other companies, and then I just decided, what I tutored privately outside the companies, but
Sure.
I thought, oh, how cool would it be to hire people? Like I don't want to just do it by myself. I want to become this big thing, and I just jumped into it, and I hired early as opposed to building it myself first, which is probably a mistake. I hope people don't repeat, but I hired early and not realizing that, okay, now I have to decide how much to pay my tutors, and
Yeah,
now I have to document all the paperwork, and now I'm taking on more clients. So now I have to manage all those clients, and now I have to come up with a payment system and a way that, I don't want the tutors taking the money. I want the money coming to me directly. Um, and then it's filing tax returns. I have to do 1099s now as opposed to my own. And if it was just myself, I would have just filed my own taxes and collected in person. But now I have to factor in other people. So now it's like
exactly.
I can't have my tutors doing what I would do for myself, because now
Exactly.
I have to be accountable, and
Mm-hmm.
I can't I as a business owner, I may not want to trust them 100%, especially when
Yeah.
it comes to money. So now it's like, now I have to create all these different systems.
Exactly. And what, some people like you're that's such an perfect example of, that kind of jump between those three roles, right?
Yeah.
Because when you were just taking on extra people, you were being an entrepreneur, and now you have employees, and now you're a business owner. That's a different role, right? And
Yeah.
so a lot of the problems that I've seen people run into is because once they start taking on staff, a lot of their decisions are reactionary, right? Not they're not proactive. So, you have employees, and then you have someone, they go, okay, cool. So I just take the money from the person and go, oh, wait, no, no. So here, do the command processing this way, or I'm going to call them. And you're kind of coming up with things on the fly. And the challenge that comes with coming up with things on the fly is it's harder to make sure that all these decisions are cohesive, because now someone comes in and they go, hey, I want to work there, right? And because we all have our mind on retention, that's a big concern for everyone right now. And so I think the reason why retention and the great resignation, all this stuff came about is because a lot of people worked for companies that didn't intentionally make the working systems for them. And so that then made them feel like they were out in the cold, like they weren't as valuable or as valued or cared for as they would want to be. And that's why they then went, oh, I'm going to start my own business, and which a lot of people did. And, then maybe create the same problems for other people, right? So when you're looking at these sort of things, because I mean, also you probably have things about, if you have an office, you have to have desk, you have to have a break space, you have to worry about PTO or time off, or are you going to allow that? Are you not going to allow that? What happens when people leave? How do you manage their other students, right? And so all these sorts of like little things can start piling up, and it's really important to like kind of map out, take a day, half a day, whatever, and just kind of sit there and map out your next few hires. Okay, what is the system I'm going to build for them? What type of questions might come up? And then kind of formulate, really basic things in writing. Okay, this is what we're going to do for these things. And you can, if you use a software like management, you can put all those things in writing in there, and you can add your employees, and they'll be assigned things automatically. It'll track through Reddit. When you edit it, it'll notify them, hey, this edited and this was updated, and then they can see that new version and mark it as read and all that sort of stuff. And so it makes it really easy to kind of just like write this stuff out. And then that way, when a new tutoring person comes in and they go, hey, I want to be a tutor, you could go, great. Well, here's how payments works. Here's how your time off works. Here's how these things work. If you want time off, you send a request to management. It's very easy. And then that person comes in, they go, oh, this is a stable, nice place. And I feel like they're handling things that I don't want to handle because I just want a tutor. I don't want to handle that other stuff. So they go, oh, this is great. This is nice. And there's value that's provided for that. And believe it or not, a lot of employees will stay at a place that's a nice, sane working environment versus maybe an extra $5 more at another place that they can tell is a little bit chaos, right? People like working in safe environments that they feel protected and that they're valued and that someone took the time to write things up beforehand. So when they showed up on their first day, they got it, right? And so when you make that little bit of that decision to put a little bit more attention into building these sort of things for employees, then you get that attention back tenfold, because now those employees aren't worried and spending their brain power, which is something you're paying for, on these little things that you already kind of figured out or already could figure out. Instead, they're able to focus on doing the job, doing it better, providing to the team. They know there's a team there, so there's something to provide for. And that creates a better environment for you, for the employee, for everyone all around. So with just a little bit of effort, you can really change that day-to-day experience into a much more positive one. And so, I don't know. That's what I find a lot of people need help with.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. So that's where your company comes in. Tell us about that.
So basically I have about 15 years of experience in HR, executive leadership. I've run anywhere from a theme park with like 500 employees to investment startup with, when I started there, it was more like 10 employees I was over, which then grew and grew. And I've also done a lot of consulting. And so being in a lot of these circles, I found a lot of these problems, like I'm mentioning, that people struggle with. They, what the very idea of writing policies is like daunting to people, because they write it up, they go, I'm gonna write some policies, I know I'm supposed to, I'm gonna write some policies, and they go into Word and they write some stuff, and then they go, okay, I'm gonna print it all on paper, and here you go, employee, here you go, employee. And then an employee comes the next week, and then they have a question, you go, oh, I should change that in the policy. Wait, but all those other people read the other one. I guess I need to reprint this out and then give it to all of them. And then by the third time that happens, you go, do I really need policies? That's a lot of work. I'll get to it next week. And then you invite that chaos back just because it's hard to keep track of all this stuff. So like in management, it's really easy. You go in there, you basically build an FAQ. All these policies are like FAQs. But then you can also optionally, so you don't have to, you can take those FAQ articles or policies or hats, and you can make them into a course. And so when someone starts, they'll be automatically assigned the course that's assigned to their division, or you can assign it to them individually, and then they can mark those things as read. And then as you update things, each individual policy, it'll notify the employee, say, hey, this updated, here's highlighted text for what was added, here's striked out text for what was removed. And then you can click mark it as read again, just on that one individual policy. It makes this stuff really easy. And then if you're ever trying to figure out who knows what, you can always go to their profile and easily see all the policies they've read, what version. And that's one way that the software really helps. Another way that it really helps is I keep track of business metrics. So a lot of people, again, they know, hey, I should keep track of numbers. I should know my numbers. What's my income? What's my number of clients? What's my number of complaints, blah, 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 right? Well, how many reviews did I get this week? And they don't really know how to keep track of it. They maybe start doing it in Excel, but, it's just kind of siloed over in Excel, and, it doesn't automate anything. The data doesn't come from anywhere. So if you forget to do it, you forget to do it. No big deal. And then it's kind of just gone. And then someone says, hey, how's your sales doing? Is it better than last year? Go, oh, I don't know. So in human management, again, that's really easy. I have automated stats. I have manual stats. You just go in there and you say, hey, I made, $1,000 this week, or hey, I got a Google review, or you sync it to Google and it'll update the stat automatically saying, hey, you got a new Google review. And that way you have history. And so when you're starting to add more staff, you can then understand how that staff is affecting your important numbers. And then that very concerning question of like, should I give them raises? Am I doing the right thing by hiring them? It's answered because you can look at the graph and go, oh, it's going up or it's going down. It's going up. I shouldn't change anything. It's going down. I should change something. And so all this stuff kind of just makes things easier. You can keep all of your HR files, manages requests, like time off stuff, lots of stuff, so many things. But basically, it just makes everything that you're concerned about. If you have employees, it does, and it helps you. So that's basically what it does.
So it sounds like you created a software that automates everything, right? So you have a software that you have all your employees' information, so name, address, phone number, social security number. You have their hourly rates, I'm assuming. A place to put all your policies, so everything is, they have somewhere where they can go and check out the policies in case they forget or they need clarification. So when they're putting in the hours that they work for the week, they put it into the system, and everything's calculated for them, and pay stubs and all that. So what you've done is and maybe this is something maybe I need to implement this, is you've created a system where things are done for you as the employer.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it still does take some human action, because obviously, like a lot of these decisions are decisions you want to make it as an employer, but all of the administrative burden of making those decisions is taken by the software. So like the stress is taken out, the endless hours, right? Like one of the things that a lot of employers suffer from is constant questions from employees, right? They're constant. You tell them, hey, go and tutor this person. They go, oh, well, how long is the tutoring session? Oh, it's this long. Okay. And what if they have questions I don't know? Okay, well, you say this. Okay, and what do I do after it? Oh, well, you come back here. Okay, right. And they keep asking. And as you bring in new employees or old employees, they keep asking and asking questions. A lot of those are repetitive. And so when you put those into like the little knowledge base FAQ thing, then it's like, it's searchable, right? So someone's in a tutoring session, someone asks them a question, they can just look on their phone and search the FAQ, and they go, oh, here's the answer. And so then they don't have to come to you, and just instantly that, like, if you imagine how much stress, especially when you have like 15, 20 employees, all of those questions can be every single day. And if they just had a nice FAQ, like on any great website, they just had an FAQ and all of their common answers, all their common questions were there, then you have that much more time and attention to do like the deep work that really provides value.
Right. So it's all about making it easier for you as the employer, as the entrepreneur. You don't want to be bogged down with paperwork and administration and all that stuff. You want to get into why you got into the business. You want to get back into the content creation, tutoring. That's what you want to do. You don't want to deal with all that paperwork. So you invest in software that allows you to do that. Once things are organized and placed for you, it's just there's a place for someone to refer to, and you could, there's, like you said, you still have to intervene here and there, but most of the work is done by the software. So that's why a lot of people outsource, or they use software, right, to take off that burden and focus on more of what you want to do as a business and why you got into business in the first place.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's like, to kind of jump back to, what people do wrong as entrepreneurs is like, because they don't intentionally think about these problems as they're coming up, and then instead they're operating reactively, they don't, they end up spending their time kind of frustrated and dealing with these frustrating problems instead of, like you're saying, being able to get back to what they want to do as an entrepreneur, as a business owner. They got into the business because they wanted a little bit more free time, a little bit more sanity. And, they don't need to do these repetitive tasks that they do every time you get a new employee. Here's these repetitive things, and there's a raise. Okay, I'm worried. Should I give them the raise again? Every time you're still worried, the same amount, and so, yeah, it can be easier. You just have to do it intentionally. And so that's my advice my major advice for entrepreneurs is just do these things intentionally. And it's easy.
Right. And start early, because then, when you decide to, I mean, you could easily just be a sole proprietor and do all this stuff yourself, but the more you take on, the more work that you have to do and the more paperwork that's involved. And so you start becoming an LLC, you start becoming a corporation, you end up, now there's more paperwork and more accountability. And then you realize, like, whoa, I didn't realize I have to track all my movements and, track all my payments and, figure out how everybody's going to be managed, so there's a lot. The more you take on, the more administrative parts you end up doing.
Yeah, precisely.
So you created the software to address that. So do you find that it's too much dependence on software? Like, is it too much dependent? Are we, well, let me rephrase it. Are we creating a society where we're depending on software and not really doing our own accountability?
I mean, 100%. Yeah. I mean, we've already done that. I mean, that already happened with the first, Palm Pilot. We already down that route even before the iPhone. Our dependence on software is huge. I mean, as a kind of a joke, I'll sometimes say that, like, it's funny because I'm basically somewhere between an inventor and a builder, right? So I'm building these like digital cities that I'm inventing as I go, right? And if for some reason electricity were all shut off yesterday or tomorrow, then everything I built for the past 2 years would just go away. And so that's a fear, but I mean, that would be highly improbable for electricity to just stop. Obviously, it's electricity; it's like one of the base elements. And so, I mean, I think that there's a really interesting thing that happens in the world when you're talking about like automation and the human aspect of it. Because in some worlds, in some ways, people say, okay, when you automate, you lose jobs, that hurts the economy, blah blah blah, rah rah rah. And that's one perspective of it. But I also think that there's a perspective that we're pushing ourselves towards being able to do more meaningful and considerate work, right? Like when the printing press came out, hundreds of years ago, when the printing press came out, there was this huge uproar because the manual printing industry was huge. I mean, that was what most monks did. That's how churches made their money, was by writing books, right, and delivering knowledge and then holding on to that knowledge. And there was this huge economy and a world economy based upon knowledge. It was so hard to get. And then the printing press came, and everyone went, "Oh my God! All these jobs, all those monks, all those monasteries, all these bookstores, or not even bookstores, they didn't exist, right? There's going to be this huge problem." And what happened? Bookstores came about, and new people started writing, and more people told stories that they couldn't before, and the world became better. Instead of people doing manually just writing other people's words, they were writing their own words, and now they were able to mass distribute it. And more jobs came about because there's more people now, and there's more jobs than there was 500 years ago because there's more people and we have the same employment, right? So as you automate, you take away some of these manual, boring jobs that everybody hates, and people can do more meaningful work, right? So similarly, like when the internet came about, a lot of publishing companies started to go under because now you could get the data on the internet for free and it's just there. But did the economy crash? No. I mean, maybe there was a blip, but the internet has created so many more jobs. They've created coding jobs and all these other, building inventive, creative jobs. Whereas before, people were doing, oh, okay, I can just maybe work in a bookstore. That's all I can do. And now they can do much more. and the machines that now dig ditches and build buildings, now people don't have to do that work themselves. Some people still do, obviously, but we continue to create a world where we're able to do more meaningful human work. We're not doing the work of robots anymore. And so that's kind of what I see in the HR space and in dealing with employees, is that there's a lot of really great, meaningful things to do with employees, of interacting, of caring, of acknowledging, of building great little systems that people can enjoy. And a lot of companies don't have that. And that's why so many people hate their job, is because the companies aren't necessarily built for their enjoyment, not for their work enjoyment, not like play enjoyment, but like, fulfilling work. And so when you talk about a software like Humanagement automating this admin, what you're doing is you're allowing CEOs to build better companies that people enjoy. And I think that's a very worthwhile reason to depend on software, to have a company that people will love to work with. They'll tell their friends, hey, you got to work here. This place is great.
So what do you say to people that say you lose the human interaction? So I guess because I've been with companies that everything is, they have the software and all the policies are there, and it's a great resource to refer to, but sometimes it's not enough, and you actually want to talk to an actual being, an actual person. So, and I feel like sometimes people may just defer to the software, like, go to the software. Why are you calling me? It's online. Go to the software. Everything's in the handbook. Go to the handbook. Don't talk to me. So now,
Yeah.
what do you say to those people that say you lose that human interaction, you lose that one-to-one?
So, I mean, yes, okay, I get the point, and to a certain degree, yeah, someone coming into your office 10 times a day means that someone's coming into your office, and you're getting to human interact with them and stuff. Also, obviously with remote work, that human connection is even more separate, and so there is a loss, sure, of like some of those interactions, but it's really more up to I would say that's more up to the employer and the way that they structure things than it is really on the software. Because while we can say that there were human interactions before, if every time someone came into a manager's office, that manager was stressed, busy, couldn't focus, that wasn't really a very human interaction in the first place. I mean, maybe it was human, right? They might have been angry and whatever, but like it wasn't a warm human interaction. And so, when the repetitive stuff is taken to the software, like I said, it creates a space. It's now up to the employer what they're going to do with that space. Yeah, I mean, if it's the same question and it's something in the handbook, you should tell someone, hey, yeah, go check out the handbook. And while that, in the transition period, that might feel cold, once a company is set up that way, it is more enjoyable because people are less lost. There's never enough attention units for all the people. And so what happens is a lot of times the people who have questions, who are a little bit less forward speaking, whatever, they end up just not getting help or not getting their things answered. And so when you have, a handbook or policies, now it's referable and now it's easier. The other reason why that really helps is because then it's the same. So a lot of problems come up about in companies. A very human problem is if somebody asks you, hey, can we take off next Friday? It's Memorial Day. And you go, yeah, I think so. Actually, no. We're not going to do it. We need to work. We have too many things. And then 5 more people come in and they go, hey, we really need Memorial Day off. You go, okay, yeah, that's fine. The other person comes back and goes, hey, I thought you said we couldn't get it. Now you create an upset just because you haven't said the same thing. And so a policy sits there and it's solid. It's stable. It's going, this is what it is. It's written, right? And so, not all of those human interactions are good because they're not always the same when they need to be. And what I'm saying is then that extra space that's taken, now you can plan a better event for your office. You can have some personal conversations about stuff that you need to have personal conversations about. And that's where it's like, it's really based on the human. Does that human, in the end, just not want to deal with any other humans? In which case, why did they start a company with employees? And that comes back to the earlier statement on, if you really enjoy just working by yourself, then even if there's more money, don't take on employees, because you're not going to be a great employer who's going to build a company that's worthwhile working at. if you want to build a great company and you want to build a community, then take on employees, be intentional, use software to automate the boring stuff, and then do the meaningful work one-on-one with employees.
Right, right, absolutely. And of course, it's a financial investment, right? So, that's one of the things you want to make clear, like when you invest in software like that, it is a financial investment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, one thing that I really try to tackle with my software specifically is it doesn't have a huge learning curve. So what a lot of people use to solve the problems that my software solves is like a Monday.com or a ClickUp, or like a Salesforce sometimes. And the problem with using a software like that, like a no code, really software builder is what like a Monday is that you're having to spend a lot of time and energy and money to build that software out for the solutions. And so when I did my research and I surveyed a lot of people, a lot of companies, um, they were building very similar solutions with these softwares. And then they were paying 20, 10, 20, $30,000 for someone to customize it the same way that someone else already customized it. And then build these systems, and then they're building it off their own brain. They don't necessarily have the experience to build these systems the easiest, most efficient way. And so Humanagement it's pre-built. You walk in within 5-10 minutes, you have your bearings, you can bulk add all of your employees, and that's basically all you have to do. You can put policies in as they come up. Everything else you just do as it comes up, and the software becomes more valuable over time. But to get that initial value, you're at 10-20 minutes. Free onboarding session if you want it. It's $5 per user per month. It's very cheap. It's not a lot. It's less than a lot of things on the market. And I did that because I wanted to produce the value for people. I didn't want it to be a concern that if they were going to make their company better, they were going to have to swallow a big pill,
Absolutely. And do you how are things going? How are things going with your business? Can I ask that? Are you
Yeah, for sure.
Or how are you accomplishing your goals?
Yes, I mean, I would say that things are always slower than you want them to be. You always dream that you're going to wake up and be like, wow, 10,000 new users, that's amazing, whatever. But yeah, things are growing. I'm able to stably live off of my software. I have a very small team right now, but I'm able to stably keep up the payroll and stuff like that. Things are growing, month over month. It's a growth rate of about 10% growth every month. Which is good. It's stable. I mean, the software came out on the market about 6 months ago. So we're still very much in the growth phase. But yeah, I mean, it's going well.
Great. All right. So now what in your development of your business, of your software, what are things that you learned that you wish you knew early in the beginning?
So it was a really funny and embarrassing mistake. But basically, it took me about a year and a half, almost 2 years to build the product. And it definitely didn't need to. The reason why is because I myself, as someone who knows a lot about HR, did not put enough attention into hiring employees. I fell down at the time when I started the software, I had another job. I was working as a senior executive investment firm. I was using my extra income and my nights and weekends to build software, and I hired like 1 to 2 developers at a time. And at one point got a team of 3 up, which was expensive. And the problem that I ran into is that I was doing those means to an end hires. I was going, I'm trying to build this software. I've dreamt what the software should be. I wanted to do that. Okay, this developer didn't work out. Okay, I'll interview another 5 people. That guy seems fine. He seems competent. All right, let's throw him on and let's have him do it. And that cost me, I mean, I could have built my software probably in about 8 months, and instead it was almost 2 years. And that was a lot of expense and a lot of frustration. And they ended up throwing away a lot of code that other people that I had paid to built. And it was because, like, when you hire, and I read this really great book by a guy named Jim Collins called Good to Great. And when I was reading it, I was like, in tears for several parts of it because it was so many amazing lessons about entrepreneurship and business ownership. And one of the ones that he really harped on, like maybe the most, was that it's who first. It's who's on the bus, and that's the first question before you build anything. You talk about how, like, I think it was Hewlett Packard. It was two friends, and they decided they were going to start a business together, and they didn't even know what they were going to do. Now we know HP as mainly a computer company, but they didn't even know what they were going to do. They both had degrees from some nice university, and they had no idea. And so then they put a team together again with not really much idea of what they were going to build, and they tried out a bunch of different products. But they made sure that when they started, they had a nice core team of a few employees who were really valuable, who really cared, who were passionate about what they were doing. And that's why they were able to grow into the company they were, is because they had the right people. You could throw any problem at them and they would solve it well. And so when I read that, I went like, I realized that I had been skimping on the hiring. I know to hire, but I was busy. I had a whole full-time job. I was trying to build the software. When a developer wasn't working out, I had to let them go. I need a new developer now because I'm trying to build it now, and I wanted to be done now. And, when I read the book, I shifted to that. I fired most of the people I had, except for one who truly was great and continues to be still on staff. And the next person that I hired, I interviewed something like 80 people. And I spent like almost a month on it just to find the person that was in my budget that was great. And, basically once I made that hire, and then I made one other one, I was able to rebuild half my software and get it to fully the place I had envisioned it for the launch within about 4 months. And at that point, it'd been like it was like a year and 2 months. And I did more work in the next 4 months with the same budget. And it was, so that was like the biggest thing. That was like, I remember the heartbreaking moment where I was just like, this software just sucks. It had so many bugs. It didn't work right. And I was like, this just sucks. I had to do something. I can't like keep trying to push this, turd to the street. And so, I scrapped it and I brought on the right staff, and now it's amazing software that, many people love.
Awesome. Good for you. So you learned from your mistakes pretty much. So you, you made, I know, like, we entrepreneurs, we try to be perfect. We try to take on more than we can, but sometimes we need a little extra help, or we need to, whether it's another person or whether it's a software, sometimes we need a little extra help to get things going.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. The help is, I mean, so some of the great decisions that I've done too is like definitely opening up and looking for advice from mentors and from other people who have success in business, and continue to talk to them and talk about my problems, and not like kind of try to like over PR the situations that I'm running into. And that's been a huge asset too, is just like what another problem that I run into still, honestly, to a degree, run into with my software, is that it does a lot. And so when I'm marketing or talking about it, I tend to overwhelm people, because anyone who uses the software is always so happy that they do, and their confidence and ability, their confidence mainly, like if there's one thing that my software does, it gives someone confidence to bring on more staff and not be worried about what's going to happen. They know they can bring on more staff and that it'll scale, and that they can grow, and that it won't bring more stress. And the people who use my software love it for that and everything it does, but it does a lot. And so, I've been continuing to put more and more effort into, how to simplify the marketing message. One of the features that I added recently is the ability to disable features. So if you want to use a software, a lot of people, they had the concern that they were going to have to bring their whole staff into like a whole suite of features. And that's a lot for staff to take on. And so, what I did was I basically, you can disable features, and now your employees aren't going to see it. So when you start the software, you only get like probably statistics and knowledge base active, and then everything else is disabled, and you can choose when to enable it. And that allows someone to kind of like, on a gradient scale, start using it and start getting immediate value and that sort of stuff.
Oh, awesome. All right, let's start to wind things down now. All right, so do you have any final words of wisdom that you'd like to share with our audience?
Yeah. Sorry. It's my wife calling. So final words of wisdom would be that definitely make sure that you're, use technology, right? So obviously it's the way my software works. It's something that I've, had to do, use calendar systems, use a CRM, use some software to make your job easier. Don't overuse software, because then you can sometimes spend too much time trying to set things up and you never actually get to go back to the deep work. But, do try to get help. Don't be so, individualistic, and unless you really love doing that, then do it. Obviously be you. But do try to find the assistance and set up your self in a way that it's easier to work and it's easier to do, deep work and meaningful work, instead of having to, stay frustrated, whether that's because you don't talk to mentors, because you don't bring on staff, or because you don't have software. Do try to use shortcuts. The shortcuts are good.
Yeah.
Honestly, they're good. A lot of people don't like shortcuts, but they're great. The shortcut that, we use shortcuts every day. I don't still ride my bike or walk to work. I don't ride my bike to work anymore. I drive, because that's a shortcut, but it makes my life better because I'm not now spending and wasting that time on those things that I don't need to.
Fabulous. Fabulous. Thank you so much for your words. Thank you for joining me today. All right, let's go ahead and jump to the promo. All right, you guys. So you can find Austin Kerr. He is all over the place. You can go to his website to learn more about his software. What's the name of your software? What's it called?
Hue Management. It's human management together. So Hue Management.
Hue Management. So if you want to learn more about the software, how to implement it for your business, just go to huemanagement.io, right? So that's the website there. You can also check him out on social media. His personal Facebook account is just austin.m.kerr. He's also on Instagram and Twitter with the handle Austin M Kerr. He's also on LinkedIn, so it's Austin-Kerr, and he's also on YouTube, which is called Hue Management Employee Management Software. So check him out on all of his social media. Follow him on all of his accounts. Check him out on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, and YouTube. And again, if you want to maybe look into his software, for your business, you're taking on more clients and more employees, and you just need to manage it all, right? Sometimes you feel like you're in over your head. Like that's, as I was saying before, like growth is a gift and a curse. Yeah, you want to grow, but then of course with great power comes great responsibility. Shout out to Spider-Man. So if you are in that situation, if you're in that boat, reach out to Austin and his company online. The website again is huemanagement.io. Is there anything else you want to talk about in regards to your company?
No, I mean, it's really fun. It's awesome. Thing that I love more than anything is hearing from customers who I've been able to help that, are now able to do more fun work, and that, they have less complicated systems. So if you end up using a software, definitely let me know. I'd love to hear about it.
All right, there you go. So this information, of course, is scrolling below at the bottom of your screen. If you are watching this on video, if you are listening to this on audio, I did not forget about you. This information is in the description. So however you are taking in this episode, this information is available and it is at your fingertips. All right, so I want to make sure that we get your video. So we're going to play your promo video. I want to make sure we have time for that.
Hello, my name is Austin Kerr, and I built a software that is for entrepreneurs, for small businesses, for large businesses, but my special attention is on helping small businesses. I think that there's so many people who have these great ideas and want to start something. Maybe they start something working for someone else or as a 1099 employee, but they have dreams of scaling. And so scaling is so important, but unless you're starting to work on scaling small, you're not going to be built for the future. So I made Wiseman, which has all of the tools that I wish I had at all the companies that I've grown and that I'm so glad to have at this company, which I'm now growing. I have a knowledge base that's very, very intuitive. You can record videos, you can write articles, you can put pictures in there, and it keeps a log of which version of that policy you're on. This knowledge-based software makes it very easy for you to create the articles, update them, and then track who's read them in alignment with your updates. So you get one very full, one concise view of exactly where your employees are or just where you are in building that knowledge so that you can pass it on and so that you can expand. Other features that I have in Wiseman are employee requests. So whether that's time off or a raise or just someone who has a really good idea on how something could be improved, employee requests will make sure that it's all managed in a sane way. Nothing's worse than when an executive or an owner gets really, really busy and their employees and their ideas and their knowledge are put to the wayside. So it's really important to have a nice systemized way for people to put in those requests and be able to track, keep a very detailed log of those requests as they go through. This includes statistics, not just basic statistics, but automatic statistics that can integrate with other softwares and give you exact feeds of what all of your different employees are producing. Another feature that I have is purchase requests. So not just normal employee requests, but being able to budget your money and know when someone wants to make a purchase that you can have a nice organized way once a week to set aside that money and to figure out exactly what expenses you're going to have will save you tons of money in the long run. That's not all the features that Wiseman has. It has many other like employee files or to-do lists. But the main point is that this software is one that you can trust, one that you can know will continue to grow, that you can give your feedback to, and that will really launch your company for success. You can start with the free version when you just have 1 or 2 employees very, very easily. You don't have to pay anything at any point. But then when your company scales, my software is there to grow with you. It's really important to me that I invest in small businesses because that's what America is made out of. So I really hope that you'll choose to check out Wiseman today. Start with a free trial, start with the free version. It's all very, very easy. And I know that you're going to love the tools that I provided for you.
Fabulous. Sorry, Wiseman? That was a different company?
Yeah, sorry. The assistants in the video, that's an older version. The software used to be called Wiseman, but for a copyright issue, I had to change it. So it's now management. But we sent you the older version of that. I apologize for that.
All right. So that's just a caveat there. That's the old business name. The new business name is management.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So we just want to put that out there. All right. So Austin, thank you so much for your time and thank you for being on the show today.
Absolutely. Thanks so much.
All right. I'll place you backstage now. And you guys, it is just you and me. Let me get my banner. Where's my banner? There's my banner. All right, you guys, we have reached the conclusion of yet another episode. Thank you so much for joining me today. So as a reminder, this podcast, Hot Topics, is a production of A Step Ahead Tutoring Services. So we provide one-on-one tutoring, test prep, college counseling, resume review. We even have various virtual workshops. So if you are looking for any of those services, whether in person or online, in person, we're limited to New York City and Long Island. So if you're looking for any of those tutoring services, reach out to us. Our website is www.astepaheadtutoringservices.com. You could also email us at success@astepaheadtutoringservices.com. You could also follow us on our many social media accounts. We are on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, WhatsApp, YouTube, and there's an Eventbrite, right? So I encourage you to follow us on all of our social media accounts. It is just the handle, A Step Ahead Tutoring Services, with the exception of Twitter. That handle is Tutor, ASATS. So follow us on all of our social media accounts and reach out to us on social media as well. I also encourage you to leave your feedback about this episode. What did you think about today? I hope today was very educational for you, informative for you. It was definitely informative for me. Let me know what you thought about this episode by leaving a comment in the comment section or in the comment thread. I definitely want to hear your feedback. So, of course, that is for my video people. And for my audio people, if you're listening to this right now, drop a rating. Let us know what you thought about this episode. Give us a star, a check mark, whatever it is. Give us a rating. Let us know what you thought about this episode today. And another thing I want to share with you, Hot Topics has a text blast. That's right. Our Hot Topics podcast has its own text blast. I encourage you to get on it. So if you are in the, if you are in the United States or in Canada, hop on that text blast right now. All you have to do is text the code Hot Topics to 917-764-3975. Again, text the code Hot Topics to 917-764-3975. Get on that text blast today. You will learn about all of our live episodes as well as the audio releases. So make sure you get on that text blast, you guys. And I will share our phone number as well if you ever want to call us, A Step Ahead Tutoring Services. Again, I will give you that phone number right now. It is 347-762-2838. This is not the text blast number. This is a regular phone number. So if you want to call us, that number is 347-762-2838. You can call us or you can text us. I prefer that you text me, but please reach out to us that way as well. So there's so many ways that you can connect with A Step Ahead Tutoring Services. So there is no excuse of why you don't reach out to us. All of that information is at your fingertips, and that information again is scrolling below at the bottom of your screen. For my video people and for my audio people, all this information is in the description, so please connect with us today. All right, you guys, that is it. Thank you so much for joining us. I look forward to you joining us at the next episode. Thank you again, you guys. Now I am signing off. Bye.